So hi everyone, my name's Mona. This is kind of like officially my first video for YouTube. No idea how consistent I'm going to be with it, but I thought I'd give it a go and kind of see what happens. No grand plans, just kind of a way to document my experiences and kind of my life as I kind of get it back. So just to give you some background, my name is Mona. I'm originally from the UK. I now live in Ireland. I've always been very overweight. I've always had obesity my entire life. Kind of lost and regained so many times. By September 2024, I was the biggest I'd ever been. So that's 620 pounds, 281 kilos, which is 44 stone something. So kind of really, really big. And as I mentioned, the biggest I've ever been in my life. Part of that also made life difficult is that kind of it had led, along with my lipedema, to being housebound for about a year, and I'd also been unable to drive for about 2 years. So it was kind of not where I expected my life to be. I was 41 at that point. And previous to that, kind of pre-COVID, I had a great life. I had a really successful career in HR. I traveled a lot. And although I'd kind of been very overweight, kind of I was not ashamed or embarrassed by that. Whilst I had, as I mentioned previously, tried to lose weight, I didn't kind of just stay in my house and do nothing. I was kind of really out there, kind of doing all the things that you would expect from a full life. So it was only really kind of gaining weight during COVID, and kind of once everybody started leaving the house again, I just never managed to do that. I just kind of grew bigger, and with that, along with my lipedema getting worse, my mobility kind of, yeah, really went. Um, so then September 2024, kind of the lowest it ever been. Not in terms of kind of mental health, I don't mean in terms of being suicidal or anything like that, but I was just really aware my life was not what I wanted it to be, and it was not how I thought it would be. Though I was kind of aware that for a while I'd had reduced mobility, and I'd managed that kind of using different aids and kind of different supports that do exist in society. It's not great when you have physical disability or any kind of disability, but I had kind of come to terms with the fact that that would be a feature, and I kind of would maybe always need to think about myself as a disabled person. But there's kind of being disabled and finding life a bit more complicated, and then there's kind of literally being stuck in your house because you couldn't physically go anywhere. And even if you could work it out physically, it was such a mental challenge that you just didn't do it. So, yeah, housebound for about 10 months. I had been referred a couple of years earlier to an obesity management specialist, part of the public health system here in Ireland. They're based in Loughlinstown Hospital in Dublin. So for any Irish people watching, hopefully that means something to you. If you're not Irish, just a random hospital in Dublin. I had been waiting, I think, 3 years to kind of get their appointment. They had initially contacted me after 2 years to try and get me in, but because by that point I was housebound, I essentially ignored the letters. Got kicked off the service. By complete fluke, I happened to kind of go back to my GP about something else and kind of mentioned that I hadn't been able to get to Dublin, had been taken off the list because I'd essentially missed appointments. And of course, the service had every right to do that. If you're not going to turn up, then of course they can't help you, and they have long waiting lists. So this is not calling them out for any of that. But in that conversation with the GP, she was able to see that it was not me not wanting the support or help, just this by this point getting to Dublin was super hard and difficult for me. I could no longer drive myself, and there was no suitable public transport. Either it didn't exist or it was so complicated it was physically unobtainable for me. And if I was to get a taxi, which was my only possible way to get there, it would be €400 for the journey, which is obviously not kind of small amounts of money. So she was able to kind of pretty much re-refer me, but kind of give more detail about kind of what my situation was. And it wasn't that I didn't want to access help, but I had this real challenge in terms of getting to Dublin. Well, of course, that did the magic trick. The team in Dublin by that point had a social worker attached to the team. So I assume the letter was given to her, or somehow she was actioned to kind of talk to me and kind of figure out a way that we could make it possible for me to access help. I probably will do some more stories kind of talking about that help in more detail and what actually happened, but I guess fast forward a few months, we're kind of now 8 months into the journey, and they were able to support me and figure out how I could get to the clinicians I needed in Dublin, and get the support I needed. And so this is like a success story. I'm still in the middle of that journey. I'm 8 months in and still a long way to go. But so far, I've lost 175 pounds, which is 12.5 stone or 79 kilos. I am so beyond happy with that outcome. It's not just about the weight loss, because it's really, really easy to kind of just focus on the scales, but it's all the increased mobility that has come because of the weight loss, but also because of the other interventions I've had from the different clinicians I've been working with. I now do kind of a walk 3 to 4 days a week. I also kind of do 3 exercise classes on Zoom. The exercise is focused on strength and resistance, so there's no kind of like cardio or high intensity. It's very much designed to support me and my body and kind of continue to have a healthy overall life, not just necessarily a skinny one. A big part of my experience has been Ozempic. So I started this journey in September, as I mentioned, and I went on Ozempic in December. It has completely changed my life. I've lost weight before, but to be honest, it's never been this easy. I have responded really well to it. I've had pretty much no side effects, almost zero side effects, so absolutely nothing that has kind of affected my life negatively. I've had the food noise switched off entirely. I have no cravings for sweets or kind of takeaways or kind of really high processed carbohydrates. Kind of my brain has been completely switched off from those kind of quite intense cravings that I used to have. I still eat chocolate, so kind of part of my intervention was nutritionists. So I still kind of like quote unquote have permission to eat kind of chocolate or crisps or pizza if I want to. But what I found is like my desire to eat those things has reduced hugely. And although I still kind of have probably 3 or 4 times a week something that has no nutritional value or a fun food, so maybe some chocolate, maybe a couple of biscuits, maybe a packet of crisps. So it's really kind of helped me focus on what a balanced diet looks like and not just kind of be at the mercy of food or cravings. It's also kind of one of the biggest changes, which I wasn't expecting, is that I've completely gone off any kind of soda, including diet soda. So I don't think soda is bad. If you like soda and that's your treat for the day, if you drink diet soda, this is not a kind of Coca-Cola is bad or Pepsi is terrible. This is just actually one of the key ways that I've seen my life has changed. I've gone from kind of drinking 1 or 2 Pepsi Max cans a day to actually rarely drinking it. In the last kind of 4 months, I've had 1 2-litre bottle of Pepsi Max, and I had to throw the rest of it away because it had gone so flat. So it's not like I don't drink it occasionally and don't enjoy it occasionally, but kind of those daily kind of cravings I used to have for even something as kind of innocuous as Pepsi Max has completely gone. Another big thing that's also happened is so I have lipedema. So lipedema is a condition that causes the growth of abnormal fat cells. It tends to feature in the legs. I also have it in my arms as well. That had a huge impact on kind of my mobility, and they were very painful. So I used to have daily pain at 6 or 7. Kind of by the end of the day, they'd be very large, very heavy. And I just didn't want to do anything because they were so uncomfortable. Fast forward 8 months, I've lost 45 centimeters from my legs. My daily pain has gone to 0, and I attribute that to partly due to the lifestyle changes, but the big thing for me has been the Ozempic. I've had kind of multiple days a week, maybe as many as 4 or 5 days a week where pain is 0, and then closer to my shot, kind of the day before, I might find that my legs are slightly heavier and a bit more kind of painful in the afternoon. So it might be kind of a 1 or 2 on the pain scale, but that is absolutely something I can manage and is kind of a complete change from how my life used to be. That has enabled me to do kind of the walks 3 or 4 times a week. It also means I can do the 3 exercise classes. It also means in my daily life, if I just need to pop into town and run errands, it's no longer a big hurdle. My legs and the pain, particularly the pain, is not stopping me do the things that I need to do. So kind of 8 months in, I know it's unusual to kind of start documenting now, but to be honest, I didn't think that this time would be any different. I've lost a lot of weight before. I lost 150 pounds in 2017, 2018. So I had no reason to believe that this time would be different. But like, I really do think it is. Weight loss this time has quite honestly been easy. I know people don't want to use words like that. I don't think GLP-1s is the easy way out. But for me and the effect it's had on my body, it does let me kind of maintain a healthy, balanced diet in a way that all the willpower and all the best intentions and all the best motivations I have not been able to achieve before. So for me, this kind of like additional kind of tool in terms of resolving or managing or whatever it's doing in terms of the biological aspects that kind of contributed to my obesity have completely changed my life, and I am happily kind of continuing on that journey. So I guess I'll end there now. I will do some more videos in time, kind of talking about different aspects of my journey, because we are kind of starting 8 months in. So there's already been kind of a certain amount of success. But there's also been kind of different things I've learned along the way. And I do think it's helpful to go back and talk about each kind of month or kind of each situation, because where I am now is not where I started. And I think it's so easy, particularly online, to look at kind of the middle or the end of the story, but actually not to kind of reflect and think about the beginning. Because it wasn't that I suddenly woke up one day and was kind of slimmer and able to move better and kind of knew all about nutrition. It absolutely was not like that. There were different things I have learnt along the way, and I guess had made mistakes, and I'm sure I will continue to do so. But I did want to put my voice out there, because as much as we have all these wonderful stories about weight loss and kind of people working out their lives and going on these journeys and these transformations, so many of them are not about people that start off at 500 or 600 pounds. So while those other stories are really great and really kind of interesting, and you're so happy for those people in them, you know, if you're kind of super morbidly obese, which is the official kind of categorization of those with a BMI above 50, sometimes the only stories you see are things from like my 600-pound life. So just kind of putting this out there, and we'll see what happens. And I will go back and make some more videos over the next few weeks to kind of share my journey kind of and how it has been so far, as well as hopefully in the future kind of posting more. Just to say also as well, like, I do try to be evidence-based. I will be clear when something's my opinion and when I think it is evidence-based. I want to be super transparent in what I'm saying. Nothing I ever said should be kind of taken as a rule or a guideline. They're all kind of my reflections and my experiences and how it has been for me. Please always speak to kind of somebody who's properly trained. So if you're thinking about nutrition, for God's sake, go to a nutritionist. If you're thinking about exercise, then speak to a physio or a trainer who is experienced working with the type of body you have, whatever body that is. Kind of think about it and find somebody who is used to working with kind of people who are your size and your level of fitness. And also to say as well, if you are considering GLP-1s, like, please do your research, including what I'm saying, but speak to an actual medical professional. Social media and online can have so many negative stories as well as positive stories, and you always kind of want to make sure that you're thinking about what it means for you, and you're speaking to somebody that's properly qualified to actually kind of talk you through what it means for you and your own history. So this is not Ozempic is brilliant and you should all take it. This is Ozempic has really, really worked for me. I hope you get something from my story, and I hope you kind of go away and think about what it might mean for you. So that's it for now, and I'll hopefully kind of check in with you guys again soon.